Let's see here. We had somebody wants to say they're with you on your political views, Kenny. So they agree with you there.
Well, about
Um,
70% are, about 30% aren't. That's it.
yeah.
I mean,
So
I
one
mean,
person.
and I have Trump supporters as friends. Chris and Maya don't have so many. They got a few. And how I view it, guys, is if you're going to shove his shit down my throat, then I'm not going to put up with you. And I'm not trying to change your views. There's many times I'll try and understand your views. I've got a very dear friend named Marianne Sanders. I'm trying to get to debate me about Trump. She tells me the other day, she says, "Well, I think Trump's doing a wonderful job, and his job has exceeded my expectations, and my expectations were very high, and he's exceeded those." I said, "Well, my expectations were extremely low, and he has even bottomed out on those for me." So I don't know how in the fuck he hypnotized you people. I don't know what fucking. She said, "Well, you're just drinking the Kool Aid." I said, "Well, if I did, it was 0 calorie, and I do drink some 0 calorie Kool Aid from time to time."
The
Um,
another question we had was, I think you talked about this once again on the Facebook Live. But what do you think of Enzo's new music video?
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's just a crock of dog shit. He needs to be improving his image right now, and that video didn't do a fucking thing to help his image. And just like with Trump, there's a certain core base that will be impressed with that, and we'll get over with that. And it's about probably the numbers of a Trump base. There's about maybe 25 or 30% of the people that like wrestling that'll be impressed with that, and there's others of us that are diehard old schoolers that are going to be repulsed by it. And I'm one, and I liked Enzo. I really did. I thought he was different. I thought he was good for the product. I thought he did a good job at what he did. There was nothing else like him. But I am highly disappointed in that video he put out.
Yeah.
And I think he will hurt himself as far as getting booked than he helped himself. I thought he needed to take the high road. I know that this girl was apparently nuts. I really didn't think maybe that he was necessarily guilty or innocent out of it, but he put himself in a bad situation. And if you put yourself in bad situations, bad shit happens. And I would
Exactly.
say that even if it were Chris.
Exactly.
Well, Chris, probably you shouldn't have been there.
Right.
And then she wouldn't have the videos or audio or anything to put you in this bad way.
How many times has people been arrested because they were just in the wrong crowd? They didn't do the
Well,
crime, but they,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly, and that's why I've been so fortunate because more often than not, I make sure I'm not where bad shit happens at. I mean, I often know where bad shit's going to happen at, and I make sure I'm not there. And I've survived 58 years doing that. And I was in the wrestling business for 32 years. Trust me, there's a lot of times I could have been in bad places at bad times and gotten in a lot of trouble just for being around the people that did. Happened to my dad. My dad was with a guy, my stepdad was with a guy that stole a cow. Well, dad didn't steal the cow, but he was with the guy who did, and he got sentenced to 8 years in the penitentiary because of it. Now, he only served 8 months, but once again, being with bad people at a bad place at a bad time. And Enzo was in a bad place at a bad time, and it could have cost him his career. It certainly cost him a shitload of money with WWE because he was doing very well. I can tell that by all the tennis shoes the fucker owned. Those aren't cheap. I know that from my son. And, I didn't think the video did anything to help him. I wouldn't even retweet it. I asked a fan to send it to me. They did. I watched it. I'm going, are you fucking kidding me? And so no, I got no use for it. I think it was a bad idea. And if that's a wrap, then poor Michael Moore needs to get out of the business.
there's another about evangelical nut job that wants his followers to buy his third private jet.
Yes, he
Oh,
wants
who is this?
he wants a $54 million jet. He's
Who is
already
this?
had 3 jets.
Who is
I
this?
can't think of his name. It's Kenneth Copeland just got a even more expensive jet than that. He got one of those Airstream deals, and the reason being is because they have to fly around the world and spread the gospel. And this guy, I can't think of his name. He
Ain't
was
that
on
what
CBS.
YouTube's for now?
He was on CBS News yesterday or Twitch. He was on CBS News yesterday, and he said, "Well, if God were here, I guarantee you he wouldn't be preaching the gospel on a donkey. He would be on a Gulfstream or whatever fucking jet he wanted, and he'd be flying around and he would be preaching the word to all the good folk." Well, if God were here, I don't think God would need a jet from the things I've heard about what God can and can't do.
Oh, it's Jesse Duplantis. I know who that
It's
guy
the
is.
guy. It's the guy.
I've actually seen him live in
So
person before.
he says, now, and Mark Cuban's had a few jets too. He's a multi-billionaire, not preaching the word of God, I promise you. But Cuban's owned a few jets for his
Jesse
Dallas.
Duplantis is not preaching the word of God either, just FYI.
I don't know. Well, there's a lot of people that don't know what the fuck he's doing. But he says, I have burned up 3 jets preaching the word of God. Getting the word out. He's gone through 3 jets preaching the word. I bet he hasn't. I bet he hasn't. And in this, like you said, in this day and age, I preach my word. I mean, I reach all my fans and people. I'm known worldwide. I don't know how. I hardly ever left Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm known all over the world. Not to the level of Hulk Hogan, but for a guy that barely ever left LaGrange, Kentucky, or Louisville, Kentucky, I haven't done too bad for myself. Why? Because of DVDs, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. That's
Yeah,
why.
and I'm going to say this. I'm a man of faith, and so is Vince Russo, and I know but the thing about it is that there's a person that I watch on YouTube. He has great series, great stories, great messages he tells. He travels, but he doesn't need his own jet. He has YouTube. It works just as fine. It gets thousands and thousands of views. There's no need to. With today's age, you don't need to have your own private jet.
Guys on CBS News that were just totally going, you know what?
Yeah.
This is why evangelical and preachers get a bad name.
Yeah, absolutely. They do. That's right.
They think
That's right.
they have to have a $54 million jet and they want their flock to pay for it.
And they don't need $1 million homes either. They don't need $50 million homes.
No, Jerry Falwell, my dad painted his house. My real dad, Ray Stallings in Chesapeake, Virginia. He painted Jerry Falwell's house. And I remember him telling me in 1979 when I was 19 years old, he says, Kenny, he says, you will not believe the money this man makes off people buying his shit. And my dad was reasonably religious, but he was also, I don't know if I've told a lot of people this, and this is why I don't speak to my real dad to this day, is that my dad was head of the KKK in Virginia. And then when that got shut down, he became the head of the Freemasons. So anytime you know anybody that's the head of the Freemasons, they're not that far off. I've been to the Freemason meetings and I've asked, well, why is there only one black person? And my dad even said, well, we got to have one or they'll shut us down. And there's a lot of other things my dad did to drive me away from him that were racist based. And I haven't spoken to my dad since probably 2008, give or take. And but he painted Jerry Falwell's house inside and out. And he says, Kenny, do you realize that he has, he says, I looked in his closet because he bragged about it. He showed me. He says, he bragged to me that he has 700 pairs of shoes. And then remember, this is 1979, and not one pair of the shoes cost less than $150. That's a lot of fucking money for a pair of shoes in 1979. I remember I had a pair of leather Pro Keds that I paid $29.95 for, and that was considered a big deal at Oldham County High, that I went to work and earned the money to buy myself a $29 pair of leather tennis shoes. He had, in 1979, the same year that I bought those $29 Keds that I was so proud of, he had over 700 pairs of shoes. None of them cost less than $150, and he bragged that his parishioners or his following or his flock paid for every one of them. And that didn't even begin to touch the number of suits he had, the luxury items they had in their home. And then you get to the Tammy Faye Bakers and the Jim Bakers, and they built an amusement park, and all on the people's money. And then it turned out that they had embezzled just about every dime of that money. And people were still trying to give them money when they got out of prison. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is sometimes your faith can make you stupid. Because when they go to prison for stealing your money, and then when they get out, you give them more money.
Yeah,
you're beyond anything who I can help.
Robert Tilton, was that his name, or?
Well, he was in on it too, but the Jim and Tammy Faye Baker were the big ones. But
Yeah.
Tilton, Falwell, the guy down in Louisiana who got caught cheating on his wife and then goes on begging for forgiveness. I'm blanking out on his name. The list goes on and on, guys. Anytime that your preacher is living 100 times better than you are, you're fucking up. That's all I can tell you.